this lesson is going to talk about quarter notes, half notes, and whole notes. So this is a worksheet that you should have out in front of you. Go and put your first and last name and your instrument on there. The first note we're going to talk about is not actually the first one on this paper, so I want you to look at this instead. A whole note gets 4 beats. A whole note is basically just a circle, and it symbolizes 4 beats in music. It means a duration of 4 beats. That means that sound is going to last for 4 beats. So duration means how long a note lasts. Now, every note has a corresponding rest. A rest means no sound. It still gets beats though. It still takes up time as you're playing music. It's just beats of silence instead of beats of sound. So a whole rest looks like this. We'll talk about this more here in just a minute. And it is a duration of 4 beats, meaning it lasts for 4 beats, okay? So a whole note's 4 beats and a whole rest is 4 beats, okay? Now, let's go back and I want to talk about quarter note now. Now, the reason I started with whole note is everything in music, when you're talking about the length of notes, you have to understand that quarter note is being related to a whole note. So it's important you understand that the whole note gets 4 beats, and that's kind of where we're getting a lot of this mathematical information from. So a quarter note gets 1 beat, okay? A quarter rest then would also get 1 beat. It's just 1 beat of silence instead of 1 beat of sound, okay? So a quarter note gets 1 beat. A whole note gets 4 beats, or the quarter note has a duration of 1 beat. So that means that 4 quarter notes would fit into 1 whole note, and we're going to talk about that more in a little bit as well. So 4 quarter notes would be the same length or the same duration as 1 whole note. Okay? All right, now in between those two, so you've got a quarter note that's 1 beat, a whole note that's 4 beats, and then right in the middle of that you have a half note. A half note is half of a whole note, so it gets 2 beats. And then of course the half rest would also get 2 beats because they're the same name. So half note and half rest, they would each get 2 beats, duration of 2 beats. So how many half notes then would be able to fit inside a whole note? Well, 2, because one of them gets 2 beats, the next one would get 2 beats. Together that would be 4 beats. So everything is related to this 4 beats, and we'll talk more in other lessons about why that is. But for right now, you just need to know that a whole note gets 4 beats, so when you divide it into these other notes, that's where we get the names of the notes, half and quarter from, okay? All right, so that's all of this up here, okay? Really easy. Whole note gets 4, or a whole rest gets 4, half gets 2, and quarter gets 1. Okay, now let's talk about these symbols just a little bit, okay? Here's a reminder on the symbols. You don't have to do anything right here. This is all just for your information. But let's talk about this. I want to point out these 2 symbols. Notice how similar these 2 are. So this right here, if I hold this paper like this, it's a whole rest. But if I turn it around, it's a half rest. Okay, so you want to be really, really clear on this as to which is which. So here's how I remember it. I think of a whole rest like a hole in the ground. So let me show you what I mean. Let me draw it on this piece of paper. Okay, so here's the ground, and there's a hole in the ground. Now, this kind of hole is spelled H-O-L-E. And our hole is spelled W-H-O-L-E, but it's the same idea, right? So a hole in the ground gets 4 whole beats, okay? It's a whole rest, okay? Or you can think of it as a half rest, and to me that kind of looks like a hat, like a top hat. So a half rest looks like a hat. So whole rest looks like a hole in the ground. Half rest looks like a hat. One other way I've heard it described, and I think it's better to just pick away and stick with it, but I'm going to say this way as well, so you can decide which way makes more sense to you. A half rest only gets 2 beats, so it's real light. It only weighs half as much, so it can sit on top of the line. but the whole rest weighs 4 beats. It gets 4 beats of duration. It's heavier, so it hangs off the line because it's heavier, so it kind of just holds onto the line and hangs. Okay, so whichever of those makes sense. This is my favorite, but that's another way if you want to think of it like that, okay? Now, let's talk about which line that symbol actually goes on. It doesn't talk about that on the worksheet, but I'd like for you guys to know this. So you've got your staff, 5 lines and 4 spaces. The third line, remember we count from the bottom up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The third line is where it will either sit on top, and that looks like a hat, so that is a half rest, or it will hang from the third line. That looks like a hole in the ground, so there's your whole rest. So this one would get a duration of 2 beats. This one would get a duration of 4 beats, okay? And it's always off that third line right there. Okay, now I'm going to do a couple of these. I'm going to help you label them, and then you can pause if you need more time. Okay, this one right here, it tells us right here, this is a quarter note. So you're going to write quarter note, and then you're supposed to trace it. There's the note head, the stem, and draw 3 more of your own. Okay, now I'm probably going faster than you are. I've drawn a lot of notes in my life, okay? So if you need to pause at any time, you can pause. All right, let's go and do the rest, and then I'm going to show you some tricks I used for drawing some of them, and then, for the rest. And then I'm going to let you guys draw on your own. Okay, this is a half note. Okay, half note right here. Now this note head is open. Okay, it's not filled in. So it's like a O, kind of a flattened O, and a stem. Okay, so the note head is open. All right, I'm going to keep going. Here's the whole note, and it's just like a flattened O. Those are quick and easy. You could probably draw all those right now. All right, now this is the one I really want to talk to you about. This is a quarter rest, and it looks all fancy and tough to draw. You can do 2 things. You can just draw a Z. That is a common way to quickly mark a rest, just a Z. Or you can draw a Z and put a C underneath, and you'll see that this right here kind of looks like a Z and a little C. Okay, so however you want to do that, a Z. For now, let's go ahead and do the Z with the C so you get the practice. But if you're ever doing dictation, or you're writing a song, or you're doing something and you want to just be real quick, you can just draw a Z. Composers don't really do that, but just in school sometimes we'll do that. So that is a quarter rest. Okay, and then here we have the one, it looks like a hat. So if it looks like a hat, it is a half rest, and it's going to get a duration of 2 beats of silence. And then here you have the whole one, looks like a hole in the ground, but it's spelled W-H-O-L-E, rest, and it's going to be 4 beats of silence. Okay, now over here you have just a real basic rhythm pyramid. This is just reminding you that a whole note is worth 4 beats. You can divide it in 2, and you would get 2 half notes, and you can divide those, and you would get 2 quarter notes within each half note, and 4 quarter notes total within each whole note. Okay, now we're going to use that for this last part. Okay, so come down here to the application. Using the vocabulary and rhythm pyramid above, answer the following questions. So you can look up here, or you can look here, whatever helps you. How many half notes fit inside a whole note? So you would look right here, 1, 2, 2 half notes, or a half note is 2, another half note is 2. That gives you 4 beats, which is a whole note. So 2 half notes fit inside a whole note. How many quarter notes fit inside a whole note? 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all under that one whole note. And remember, a whole note gets 4 beats, so 4 quarter notes, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, is a whole note. How many quarter notes fit inside a half note? So that's asking you just for this part right here. So 2 quarter notes fit inside that half note right there. So 2 quarter notes, okay? All right, now, here we're going to review how we do our stems. Remember from the last lesson, we talked about how if the notes are low on the staff, you're going to do a note head and the stem goes up on the right. If the notes are high, you do the note head and you go down. But the difference today is we're going to add some half notes and we're going to add some whole notes. So for whole notes, you don't even have to worry about the stem because they don't have a stem. It's just a note head. So you can go and trace those two real quick. Okay. Then you have a couple that are quarter notes. So you can do the note head, and since it's low, your stem's going to go up. And here's another quarter note, one beat, goes down on the left, okay? Now you've got two half notes. You're going to draw a circle, kind of an oval. Stem goes down because it's low. It's on the second space, counting from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then over here you've got one on the fourth space, up high, so the stem's going to go down on the left. Now you're supposed to redraw these same notes over here. So instead of you just tracing it, you're actually going to draw it yourself. You're going to draw a note head and try to make your stem look kind of like this one. So usually the stems go about 2.5 lines. I'm not going to get into detail on that, but what you don't want to do, let me show you. You don't want to do a stem that looks like that. It wouldn't look really like a regular printed note. So you want to kind of look right here and try to make it look about the same length. And same thing, you don't want to make it so long that it looks silly. So just kind of, it's fine if it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just as much as you can, try to make it just like the one over there. And again, I'm going to probably go faster than you. I've drawn lots and lots of notes. So you take your time, you can pause the video and restart it when you're ready.